Okay, so if you've ever, like, really tried to clean up your diet, you know the grocery store can feel like a minefield, especially the packaging.
Oh, definite.
Everything is screaming healthy, right? But uh, it's hard to know what's actually true. We're talking about whole grains today.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's supposed to be this nutritional gold standard, but the marketing, well, it's kind of muddied the waters, hasn't it?
Completely. How do you really know if that, expensive box of whatever is genuinely whole grain?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just like fancy refined flour with a nice brown box?
That's exactly the problem. The whole health space is just full of these vague claims, these persuasive words. And whole grains, they get hit hard with what you might call health washing.
Health washing, I like that.
You almost need like a degree in food science just to do your weekly shop.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's our mission today. We're doing a deep dive into some really interesting research notes someone shared with us. It's part of a whole series they called Notes on Dieting, Part 49.
Part 49. So they've been at this a while.
Seems like it. And this wasn't just, reading labels for fun. It came about because the author realized they'd uncovered numerous deceptive claims about products claiming to be whole grain. So they needed a system, a reliable one.
Right. So they basically set a target, find the single most dependable way to verify if a whole grain product is legit, cutting through all the marketing fluff, and they used brown rice as their test case.
Makes sense. A staple.
And clearly, the previous 48 parts had shown them just how much deception is out there. They needed a tool, a weapon, really, to fight back.
Okay, let's dig into that. We have to start where the author started, which is with a healthy dose of skepticism. I mean, why all the talk about deception? Aren't there regulations?
Well, yes, there are regulations, but they often lag behind how clever marketing gets. Manufacturers use terms like multigrain or wheat flour, maybe enriched.
Those sound pretty good, though.
They sound good, but they often mean the important bits, the bran and the germ, the things that make it a whole grain have been stripped out. The deception isn't always like an outright lie. It's more subtle. It's technical language that just meets the minimum rules, but maybe isn't giving you what you think you're getting.
Subtle misdirection. And what I found really grounded this research, made it relatable, was the context. This wasn't some academic paper.
Right.
The author was actually shopping for rice for their significant other, and decided to, quote, experiment with various rice types, and opted for whole grain rice, commonly referred to as brown rice. It took it from theory to, the shopping cart.
Yeah, that makes it real. It shows that even for something seemingly simple like brown rice, I mean, how complicated can rice be, right? You still have to be proactive, be critical, just to make sure you're actually getting brown rice, the whole grain.
So picture this. You're in the aisle. You're facing all these numerous claims associated with any whole grain product, as the author put it.
Yeah.
They needed a shortcut, like the one step that cuts through the BS.
Okay.
And they found the most reliable fundamental test was simply to examine the ingredient list.
Right. And okay, let's pause here, because for you listening, you might be thinking, check the ingredient list. Seriously, that's the big secret.
Exactly. My thought, too. Part 49 of their research journey, and the big reveal is, read the box. But wait, there's more to it. This is where it gets interesting. What's the nuance? What did the author figure out that makes reading the list actually powerful, not just, basic?
The nuance is knowing what to look for in that list, understanding the sort of regulated vocabulary of deception. If a product is truly whole grain, the very first ingredient listed needs to have the word whole in it. For rice, that's easy. Brown rice inherently means whole grain rice. But think about breads, pastas. The list can get tricky. If you see wheat flour or unbleached wheat flour, even semolina maybe, without the word whole right before it, that's a potential red flag.
So it's not just that there's an ingredient list. It's checking for that specific word, whole, right before the name of the grain. That's the first hurdle. If whole isn't there, basically, game over for that product's claim.
Pretty much. That's the first layer of defense. The ingredient list gives you verifiable facts, data the FDA requires. Marketing claims are just stories, persuasion.
Right.
So the author found that focusing laser-like on those specific words, whole grain, whatever, as the first ingredient instantly filtered out, like maybe 90% of the misleading stuff. And this is crucial for our deep dive, that ingredient check. It's only step one.
Okay. Yeah, the research notes definitely made that clear. To get what they called truly valuable knowledge, you had to go beyond just that one check.
Correct. The author clued in that sometimes, even if the ingredient list is technically okay, the product itself might still be, well, nutritionally unimpressive. Let's call it nutritional washing. So they move to the second layer, analyzing nutritional values.
Okay, now we need the details. What specific nutritional values tell the real story about, say, that whole grain brown rice? You can call it whole, sure, but processing can still mess with the benefits, right?
Here, exactly. The author zeroed in on what defines a whole grain nutritionally, primarily high fiber relative to the carbohydrates, and also looking at things like added sugar, although less relevant for plain rice.
Fiber, got it.
Yeah, fiber is key. For carbs like rice or bread, the relationship between the total carbohydrates and the dietary fiber is a really critical clue. A good sign of an authentic whole grain is a high fiber to carb ratio.
Okay, so is there like a rule of thumb, something the author probably worked out? If you're looking at a whole grain product, how much fiber should make you go, maybe not?
Well, if you look at what nutrition experts often say, and likely what the author found in their research, a pretty common target is this. The grams of dietary fiber per serving should be at least 1/10 of the total grams of carbohydrates per serving.
1/10. Okay, that's concrete. You can actually do that math standing in the aisle. Divide the total carbs by 10 if the fiber number is lower than that result.
Then it suggests that even if the label says whole, the grain might be nutritionally compromised, or maybe it's diluted with a lot of other refined stuff. It undermines the whole grain claim from a nutritional standpoint.
That really shows the depth they went into. It's not just about the word, it's about the substance.
Precisely. When you buy whole grain, you're paying for the fiber, the germ, the bran. If that fiber count is disappointingly low, even if the ingredients technically say whole, you're not getting the nutritional bang for your buck. So the author used the nutrition panel to basically fact-check the quality implied by the ingredient list.
Okay, so step 1, check for whole as the first ingredient. Step 2, check the fiber to carb ratio, aiming for that 1-point Nenzo ballpark. But the notes still mention a third layer, conducting further research. Why? What else is there to check?
Right, the further research step kind of addresses the fact that processing methods and where ingredients come from can vary a lot. So while the label checks give you a baseline, doing a bit more digging can confirm the context, especially if it's a new brand you don't know or maybe sourced in a less common way.
So that could mean looking for, like, third-party certifications, or maybe checking reviews about the brand's quality, looking beyond just the box itself.
Exactly. For the author focusing on brown rice, further research might have meant comparing the protein and maybe mineral content listed on the package against, say, standard nutritional databases for totally unprocessed brown rice.
To see if it matches up.
Yeah, to make sure it hasn't been perhaps overly milled or polished in a way that strips out micronutrients, even if they technically left the bran. It's about comparing the product in your hand to a known quality standard.
What's really cool here is how the author links these steps together. Check the list, analyze the numbers, do the extra research, and connects it straight to the benefit for you, the eater. It's not just about buying rice anymore.
No, it becomes transformative. The payoff, the so what of it all, is stated right there. Acquiring valuable knowledge that will influence your dietary and eating habits. That's the real prize.
Yeah.
The specific things you learn about checking brown rice, that becomes a skill set you can transfer. Suddenly you know how to look critically at pasta labels, bread labels, cereals, using those same ideas. Ingredient truthfulness plus nutritional quality.
It's like you're not just making a purchase, you're getting an education with every item, building up this mental checklist, this database of skepticism and technical know-how for future food choices.
And that long-term influence, that's a really profound part.
Yeah.
You fundamentally stop trusting the pretty picture on the front of the box.
Right.
You become like a mini detective every time you shop, focusing on the verifiable data, not the marketing hype. What you learned about brown rice becomes a template for assessing quality across your whole diet.
So boil it down for someone listening who wants to walk into the store tomorrow and feel way more confident buying brown rice or really any whole grain product. The findings give us these 3 layers of defense against getting tricked.
Okay, summary time. First, ignore the big, flashy claims on the front. Go straight to the ingredient list. Look for the word whole right before the grain name as the first ingredient. That's your ticket in.
Got it. Step 1, whole first.
Second, immediately flip to the nutritional values. Check that fiber content. Aim for that rough 1.10 fiber to total carb ratio as a benchmark for quality.
Step 2, fiber check, 1.10 ratio.
And third, use what you found in steps 1 and 2 to decide if you need to do a quick search, maybe on your phone right there, about the brand, certifications, or compare its stats to a known standard if something feels off. That layered approach is how you move from just buying stuff to making genuinely informed choices.
And it's fascinating that this source was literally called Notes on Dieting, Part
Mhm.
49. It really paints a picture of this being a long, maybe even endless quest for dietary truth.
Yeah, and that brings up a really important final thought, doesn't it? It summarizes this whole deep dive. If this is part 49, it tells you how the author sees this. Dietary diligence isn't a diet you go on and off. It's a continuous process, an ongoing journey.
Hmm.
The knowledge you picked up today about brown rice, it's not the end point. It informs your next trip, your next question, your next bit of research. Real informed eating means adopting that mindset, perpetual analysis, constant refinement. Because the moment you stop asking questions, the moment you stop checking, well, that's when you risk being misled again. You have to become part 50 and then part 51. Keep digging.